Never carry an umbrella, carry a chair. It's much better.
So where are we, Charles?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm on a road. I'm on the road to somewhere.
Right to the coffee shop, if you ask me.
Yeah.
John, have you met John? John Middlebrook.
G'day, John. Pleased to meet you.
Famous digger of ditches on long distance walks. He's well known for that.
Yeah.
Why the ditches? You have to tell
We had
the story.
the long drop tour.
Oh, okay.
What is
Yes.
it? The long dropper.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Admiralty House was built by the Government of New South Wales for the recently appointed Admiral of the Fleet in the mid-1800s. So the Admiral of the Fleet, or the British Fleet, of the British Pacific Fleet, duly came out here, ensconced himself and was very comfortable. As time went by, when Federation came, of course, the British government either gave or sold, I'm never quite sure which, all of the land that the British Navy had in Australia, which included Admiralty House. So they gave it to the Commonwealth government. So there was a fight ensued for about 10 or 15 years between the New South Wales government, which has given the land to the Poms in the first place, and the federal government, who were the beneficiaries of it.
Opera House. Look at that opera house.
Credit Suisse one.
Yeah, because the whole idea was that AMP building and the one on the right-hand side of the quay, they formed a valley,
Yes.
and then the valley went back, and this ruined that concept. That buildings just got bigger and bigger, so that the valley is still
lost.
retained to a certain extent. But now that quadrant in front of Harry Sidley's building, that whole area is going to be redeveloped.
Though Australia was settled as a penal colony, there would be no jail per se, for the British government envisaged New South Wales as a place where convict settlement could become self-supporting within an acceptably short period. To this end, food and serviceable clothing sufficient for just 2 years was supplied, along with simple tools for building and farming, and seeds and plants of all kinds. Governors from Phillip through to Macquarie were instructed to proceed without delay to the cultivation of the lands and to distribute land for farms, but they had no instructions on town planning or leases. Urban life was not part of the original vision for Botany Bay, for the colony was to be kept isolated from the rest of the world. Achievement of agricultural subsistence within 2 years was the linchpin of the plan, but the poverty of Sydney's sandy soils soon made it apparent that this could never be the centre of an agricultural district. Better soils were quickly found in the shale country at the head of the harbour, and a second public farm was established there in 1789 at Rose Hill, renamed Parramatta after the Aboriginal owners, the Burramatigal, from whom the land had been taken. By December of 1791, Watkins was convinced that Parramatta would soon overtake Sydney as the centre of the colony. According to Tench, Sydney exhibited nothing but a few old scattered huts and some sterile gardens, and has long been considered only a depot for stores. Cultivation at Wheated Farm Cove has been abandoned, public building was at a standstill, and all our strength is transferred to Rose Hill. Yet the camp at Sydney Cove continued to grow, largely without order or regimentation. Convicts and soldiers chose sites in their respective zones, built houses, and soon regarded them as their own. Leases were given to favoured individuals, but the vast majority had no official lease or grant at all. The buildings that sprang up, and the out-of-sight spaces between them, also allowed the pleasures of drinking, gambling, bare-knuckle fighting and cockfighting. So Sydney quickly developed in precisely the opposite way to that intended. Instead of a closely supervised, harsh, subsistence agricultural settlement, it was becoming a distinctly urban place with considerable freedoms. Convicts didn't even work to regular hours, announcing instead that they would sooner perish in the woods than be obliged to work. They insisted instead on the task work system, whereby once the daily set task was completed, they had free time to earn money, plant their gardens or wander about as they chose. The authorities were faced with accepting task work or no work at all.
singing Turalai, Uralai Aditi, singing Turalai, Uralai, singing Turalai, Uralai Aditi. Oh, we're bound for Botany Bay, singing Turalai, Uralai Aditi, singing Turalai, Uralai, singing Turalai,
Wow. Oh dear. Yeah, double bed. I see. Yeah, I think it is safe. Alright. Sure you don't stay there, Julie? Fresh air even. Yeah.